Hey YouTube, what is going on? It's EK here, and today we have a tutorial video for you on how to win more gulags. Now, before I implemented this technique for my gulag sessions, I was maybe getting about 50-50 on my gulag wins and losses. I was not doing very well. I would constantly just get outplayed by my opponent no matter what. Now, I did see some improvement when I used Breadman's technique, but I was still not getting a ton of wins. And now, with the introduction of lasers constantly being on your guns and they'll show up when you ADS, you have to be extra careful. So, today we're going to go over a few things that I think have made me significantly better in the gulag. And in fact, in the last 3 days, I won over 90% of my gulag. Here's the first few tips that I have for you in order to win more gulags. Number one is be patient. A lot of people feel a lot of pressure to kill the other player as quickly as possible. Don't do that. You have a good amount of time in there, so use the time to your advantage. Number two is to listen for audio cues. Now, this does mean that you need to play on a headset or some type of, in your ear audio. Listening for the audio cues is going to help you a ton. Also, this also means knowing the different gulag maps. So, in some of the gulag maps, there's water on the sides. When you hear those water footsteps, you should hear those audio cues and point your gun in a certain direction. Now, obviously, if the other opponent is crouched and they're crouch walking, you're not going to hear as much. But here's where the next thing comes in: visual cues, especially now with the green laser that's attached to every single gun, and they only activate when you ADS. So you get a pretty decent approximation of where your opponent is going to be standing. So whatever you do, don't ADS downrange and expose yourself. You wait for your opponent, to make that first mistake. Let's go into my first clip of this first gulag win. So here's the beginning.
You wear those upgrades well, soldier.
Dude, really?
Your squad mate just got their ass beat. They are returning to base.
So my first thing to do, what I'm doing here right now is that I'm aiming more towards my left, but I'm listening for audio cues on my right hand side. At the same time, I'm looking for visual cues to see if by chance the opponent is actually on the left, they may or may not ADS and then reveal themselves by seeing the green laser. So if they do that, now I know even if I don't hear them on the right, I'll see their laser on the left. And here I hear them. I hear some of the footsteps right in front of me, a little bit to the right, but mostly right in front of me. So now I know that my opponent, it's somewhere right now in the middle, around right here in this box area. I know they're not over here. I know they're somewhere over there, right? So, and notice another thing is that even though I'm ADSing, I'm not ADSing anywhere in the field of view of my opponent. I am ADSing only on these walls, which stop my laser, right at that wall. So they can't see me while I'm ADSing. And now in the next second, you'll see how my opponent exposes himself. Look at that. As I'm listening for visual cues, right here, my opponent immediately exposes himself by ADSing down the range. Now I know for sure that my opponent is right around here. I am pre-aiming the right-hand side because I know more or less exactly where he's at. And also keep in mind, even though I am ADSing, I am still not aiming directly into his view to view. So let's keep going. Now, you might be thinking, well, he kind of knew where you were, EK. What the heck was that? He had an idea. He knew I wasn't down the area where he's looking at. So the only thing he could do essentially pan around and hopefully catch me off guard, right? That's his only option. However, from my point of view, I already knew exactly where he was. I more or less, because he kept aiming down sight, I kept seeing his laser pop up. I knew in some shape or form he was gonna show up here, like almost no matter what. So,
But it is covering
here's
the
me
ground.
applying the same tactics.
Whew.
I accidentally shot a few shots. That was an accident. But look at what happens the second I move up here. As you can see, my opponent pretty much immediately exposes himself. You know, I naturally just kind of look to the right most of the time. But as you can see, my opponent on happenstance exposes himself by ADSing downrange because he thinks I'm somewhere over here. So already I know for a fact that he is at this point right around this area. So I'm pre-aiming and ADSing down here, but I'm not exposing myself. As you can see, I'm still aiming at this wall in order so that I don't expose myself, because the second I start aiming anywhere over here, as he's aiming down the range, down range right now, he's gonna see my laser. So he's gonna immediately know that I'm standing where I'm standing right now. And now I am looking more for like the visual cue, for the audio cues. I'm listening to where he might move to, because one thing is for sure is that if he decides to move forward, there's water here. So I'm going to immediately, if I start hearing any kind of water footsteps, I immediately know that he is going to be coming in right around there. If I don't hear water footsteps and I hear more metal footsteps, I'm gonna know he's moving more towards my left. So then I will know to shift where I'm gonna aim.
Coming back.
So you see, I'm not ADSing because the moment I ADS, he has at least a few gaps in order to see where my laser is coming from. So he's if he's looking at anywhere in my direction, he's gonna see a laser come down over here, over there, maybe even somewhere over here. So he's gonna see that laser and he's gonna be able to pinpoint me in that corner. So I don't ADS. I just look I just look for visual cues on my own to see if he exposes himself first. And then as I move down, you know, I'm hugging this wall so that I can again listen for more audio cues. Right now I don't see anything that's exposing himself. And arguably I can't see a whole lot because I'm behind a wall, but I can still hear, right? This is where the audio cues come in. If I hear footsteps on my right, then I know he's on my right. There's water in this gulag, so I know if he hits the water, he's on the far end of this side of the map. But if I hear more metal footsteps, then I know he's not near that water side. He's a little bit more in the middle. So these are some things to get used to and to kind of accustom yourself into realizing what is in front of you. If I hear more footsteps more in front of me, or basically not on my right hand side, then I know he's going to be more on the left side.
Your squad mate just got their ass beat. They are.
So here, as you can see, I'm ADSing, but I'm ADSing on this wall to again, not expose myself, because the second I start ADSing down to, where he could be standing, say right there on the wall, I expose myself. So I don't want to do that in case he is standing somewhere over there looking for visual cues. So you don't want to give your opponent a visual cue, expose yourself, and then he has the advantage. Right now, neither of us have the advantage really, but you definitely never want to give your opponent the advantage off of you.
Returning to base.
So I'm gonna reverse a little bit. Sorry.
Your squad mate just got their ass beat. They are returning to base.
So right about here, I start hearing some footsteps. So almost immediately, two things pop up in the last half a second. One, I hear footsteps right in front of me, and I hear metal footsteps. So I know already he's going to be here. And then almost at the same time, you see right here, Laser. He is ADSing down this way. He doesn't know exactly where I'm sitting when I'm standing right now. And as you can see here also, so the second he exposes himself, I already know it. And as you can see from the results of this, I destroy him. All right. Not only do I destroy him, he doesn't even take down all my plates and doesn't hit any flesh. I completely decimate this guy because, again, I followed all the same principles. Be patient. As you probably saw at the end of this clip, the timer was pretty much running out. Like, the rope was about to drop and it was going to be the sudden death, right? I waited the entire 13 seconds for this gulag. I was patient. I listened for audio cues. I looked for visual cues. When you don't see visual cues, you listen for the audio cues. And the second this guy exposed himself and made the first move and made the first mistake, I knew exactly where he was in this case. Now, but you're not going to be finding yourselves in these situations every single time. There's going to be some nuances. But if you apply all these different tips that I just given you, you're going to be able to use every single one of those in order to make yourself a more well-rounded player and be able to really have a better advantage against your opponent in the gulag. So again, just use these tips to your advantage. I promise you, they are going to work out. You just have to be patient. It might take a few tries, but these will help you.